Welcome to our comprehensive tutorial on setting up a GraphQL server with Node.js Express and Apollo GraphQL. In this step-by-step guide, we'll be leveraging the power of TypeScript to create an efficient and robust backend solution. By the end of this session, you'll have a fully operational GraphQL server. So let's embark on this journey and enhance your backend development skills. Let's start building our project. First, make sure you have Node.js on your Windows machine. Ready? Great. Open your command prompt and type mkdir node_GraphQL. This creates our project folder. Now, enter it with cd node_GraphQL. Inside our new folder, let's set up our Node.js project. Type npm init-y. This creates a package JSON file with default settings. Now let's focus on our development tools. We need to install a few key packages. So in your command prompt, enter the following command: npm install save dev TypeScript ts node types.express types node. What we're doing here is installing TypeScript for strong typing, ts node for executing TypeScript directly, and the type definitions for both Express and Node. These are crucial components for any robust TypeScript project. Next, let's focus on the core packages that will power our server. We're going to install Apollo Server, GraphQL, Express, and GraphQL Tag. Each of these plays a vital role in our setup. Type in your command prompt npm install apollo/server GraphQL Express GraphQL-tag. Apollo Server acts as the central hub for our GraphQL services. GraphQL itself is the heart of our data query language. Express will be used to create our web server, and GraphQL Tag provides a template literal for writing your GraphQL queries. With these installed, we're equipping our server to efficiently handle and process GraphQL requests, laying a solid foundation for our application's backend. Now let's open Visual Studio Code and navigate to our project. You'll notice in the package.json file, all the modules we've installed are listed. This confirms our environment is set up correctly with all the necessary tools. Next up, create a new file named tysconfig.json in the root of your project. We'll add our TypeScript configuration here, which is crucial for defining compiler options and ensuring our TypeScript code works seamlessly with Node.js. Right-click in the Explorer area of Visual Studio Code, and let's create a new folder called src. This folder will be where we store all our source files. Now in the src folder, it's time to create our main server file. Right-click again, select New File, and name it index.es. This file is going to be the entry point for our Express and Apollo server. In index file, let's start importing the modules we need for our server. Type the following lines: import Express from Express, import Apollo server from Apollo server, import Apollo server plugin drain HTTP server from Apollo server plugin drain HTTP server, import create server from HTTP, import Express middleware from Apollo server Express 4, and import GQL from GraphQL Tag. These imports bring in all the necessary elements for setting up Express and Apollo server, along with the required plugins and utilities for handling GraphQL queries. Now that we have our imports ready, let's dive into the core of our GraphQL server. The first step is to define our GraphQL query and resolver. In GraphQL, a query is a request for specific data, and the resolver is the function that fetches this data. Let's define a simple query. For example, we could have a query named hello that returns a string. Correspondingly, we'll write a resolver for this query that returns a greeting like hello world. Once our query and resolver are set, we will integrate them into our server using the start Apollo server function. This function is an excellent example of modern server setup. Let me walk you through it. First, we initialize Express and create a new HTTP server. We also apply JSON parsing middleware to Express, which is essential for handling JSON requests. Next, we create a new Apollo server instance. We pass our type definitions and resolvers to this instance, and include the Apollo server plugin drain HTTP server plugin for improved server performance. Once the server is started, we use the Express middleware from Apollo server to apply it to our Express application. The final step in our start Apollo server function is to make our server listen on port 4000. When the server starts, it will log a message indicating it's ready and listening at localhost port 4000. This setup encapsulates our GraphQL server's initialization and running process, making our code organized and efficient. Now that we have our server ready, let's make some changes to the package.json to add a script to run it. Under the scripts section, add the following lines. This setup allows us to compile our TypeScript code and then start our server with a simple npm start command. You've done a fantastic job. Your GraphQL server with Node.js, Express, and Apollo is now up and running. To test it, open the command prompt in VS Code and type npm start. Then click on the URL displayed in the terminal. This will open the GraphQL playground, where you can test your query and see the results. In our next video, we'll explore more complex queries and data integration. Don't forget to subscribe and stay updated. Happy coding!